Thank you. Do we have any declarations of interest from any members, please? No? Thank you. I'll go to apologies for absence. Claire, do we have apologies, please?
Thank you, Chair. I've received apologies from Councillors Mancini Boyle, Crotch, Eden, Harpley, Goodman, L. Starling, N. Starling and Wymark.
Thank you. Right, item 3 on the agenda is the minutes for the council meetings held on the 23rd of October. This starts on page 5 of your report. Can members show by an indication of hands if they're happy to approve these as a true and accurate record, please? Sorry, Ellen, you got a question?
Yeah, yes, I have got a matter arising, please.
I was going to just ask that next.
Oh,
okay,
sorry.
do you want to go ahead then, please?
Yes, thank you. I've noted that when a member raises a point that is noted in the minutes, they are now no longer named. The minutes just state a member or a member noted. However, the cabinet members are always named or their specific portfolio roles are given. So, for example, on page 9, under paragraph 274, it states, a member advised that he supported most of the SPD, etc., etc., but that could relate to any of the councillors who identify as male who were in the meeting at the time. Now, having been in the meeting, I seem to remember it was Councillor Murrell. This is a relatively recent change which was first applied to committee minutes, I noted, and is now being applied to main council minutes. And I feel it's unhelpful in terms of democratic accountability. We are all here to represent our residents, and members of the public or those in the media will not know who has raised an issue or made the comments noted unless they look at the video recording of the meeting. And I just wondered if this matter could be looked at maybe and a response provided to members at a later juncture to explain why this change has occurred. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Laming. I'm going to ask our monitoring officer to come in on that one, please.
Yeah, just to come back on that point specifically. So, good practice with minutes is to, whenever a portfolio holder raises something, that portfolio holder will be referenced in the minutes. When other members do it, it's simply a councillor. But I'm happy to take away the feedback and look at the minutes. Constitutionally, you know, that isn't covered in there, and it is down to style. Different committee officers have a slightly different style, but we can take that away, Councillor Laming, and have a look at it.
Councillor Murrell.
Sorry, just not on the issue of that, it was around the concerns raised within the SPD. I have spoken at all of the parish council meetings and sought views from both the councillors at the parish council meetings and members of the public who agreed with the fact that the term should did make the document subjective, and therefore they didn't feel that it was correct or to be supported.
I assume, Councillor Moore, you asked all of them to apply to the consultation on the item and make their views heard.
I did indeed.
Thank you. I'm going to move on, please. Item 4 are the minutes of committee meetings. These are to note. These are for the Cabinet, Overview and Scrutiny and Planning and Audit Committee. Thank you. I would ask you to note my engagements on page 62 for the period of October to December. The last event that I attended was the Thorpe St Andrew Christmas light switch on, and I just want to place on record my thanks to Thorpe St Andrew Town Council and to the church. It was a thoroughly enjoyable community event that brought people together in the festive spirit, and I'm grateful to Reverend James Stewart for his kind invitation and extend my appreciation to the Parish Council and the Church for their hard work in organising such a successful occasion. Their efforts made the event a real highlight of the season for residents and visitors alike. So thank you. Does the Vice Chair have any announcements?
I suppose the only announcement I'd make probably for myself and probably the rest of this council to wish all our residents in the area a very happy Christmas in this festive period, and peace be with you for this special time. Thank you.
Thank you. Leader, do you have any announcements?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to mention the postponement of the mayoral elections, which you may or may not have heard about. So they were due to be held in May in 26. The government has made a decision to postpone those to 2028. The reasons that have been given are that they feel it is better to have stronger unitary authorities underpinning those strategic authorities. Having said that, they have also said that the strategic authority itself will still be started in March. It will clearly, presumably, be a county combined authority, simply missing a mayor. So just so we all are aware of that is the position. And the other part of that is that the LGR will go ahead as so far prescribed. We will wait to see what those judgments are round about next March. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any members of the Cabinet wish to make any announcements? No? No? Okay, Managing Director, please.
Chair, thanks very much. I'd just like to bring to councillors' attention, you've probably seen in the media that our Chief of Staff will be leaving us. This is her final council meeting with us. Emma has been successful, not surprisingly, in securing an executive director's role with Kings Lynn and West Norfolk, who have decided to appoint a Chief of Staff as well. Emma has been an exceptional member of the One Team since its inception, and the two councils decided to bring the paid staff together. She's also been an outstanding monitoring officer and member of the senior leadership team, taking a very active role in making sure that we have a highly enthusiastic workforce who are enjoying themselves working here, largely responsible to Emma's leadership and stewardship as Chief of Staff. I'd be grateful if councillors could register their appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got item 6, which is questions from the public. I want to refer you to page 2 of the supplementary agenda, which sets out the questions. We have 4 members of the public here who wish to ask questions. Would Justine Thomas, please, would you come forward first? I would like us to make it clear also that you have 30 minutes for all your questions, not just for yourself, Justine. Okay.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Not familiar with, is that right? Not familiar with this. So my first question, the number's different to what's in your notes, because I think the numbering, there's been some minor alteration to the numbering, but rule as it was 164, now 17.2 of the Constitution, and this is to the Cabinet Member for Planning regarding the planning meeting on the 8th of October. So rule 17.2 of the Constitution states that if a vote is tied, the chairman has a casting vote to break the deadlock. After the casting vote was exercised against approval on the 8th of October, what constitutional provision required the meeting to be adjourned rather than allowing the committee to continue deliberations or propose alternative motions?
Thank you for your question. In advance, can I explain that as the portfolio holder for planning, I don't actually hold any authority over the planning committee as such. Nonetheless, I will answer your points given my understanding of the Constitution and the advice that I've received. With regard to the Constitution, decisions to adjourn meetings are at the discretion of the chair, whether that be of the council or of the committee meeting itself, and are taken with the agreement of members present. The Constitution doesn't restrict when or how the chair exercises that discretion. And for example, if we go on for a long time tonight, I hope that the chair here will exercise some discretion and at least give us a break. So there isn't actually a constitutional bar on a chair of a meeting calling for an adjournment. With regard to the meeting on the 8th of October, I would say in advance that the planning committee's role is to determine applications, and the committee does so by passing a positive majority vote on a motion as proposed by a member. This could be to pass an application subject to conditions or not, to reject an application for reasons set out, or to defer. As you've stated, that at the meeting on the 8th of October, there were 3 motions initially put at that meeting, all of which were defeated. So there was no positive proposal for the planning committee to make a determination. And on that basis, and with the committee having reached an impasse at that stage, it's my understanding the chair decided to ask for an adjournment so that some further advice could be taken.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a supplementary question?
Yeah, you might have covered it, but so could the committee have actually, under the rules, continued deliberating and potentially reached a different outcome if they hadn't adjourned for the discussions?
I think that's something of a hypothetical question, in that the position the committee was in, having not reached a determination, was that to do so it needed a further motion put to it that got the majority support of members. Now the committee could have continued its discussion immediately and then sought to seek another motion, or as the chairman decided at that meeting, to take an adjournment before taking any further motions to be taken. As far as what discussions the committee may have had or what conclusions they may have reached, I would not know. That's pure conjecture. But what we do know is that by the end of that meeting, the committee did reach a positive determination of the application.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to answer your ask your second question, please?
Thank you. At the same meeting, the planning committee members voted 3 times without reaching approval of application 2023/0159, under which constitutional provision or planning regulation does a 4th vote taken after private officer intervention take precedence over the previous 3 votes?
Thank you. To directly address your point on that, the 4th motion that was put achieved a positive majority and was passed. And that's what the planning committee needed to do in order to reach a determination on that application. As it was the only motion that had reached a positive majority for determination, that is why it took precedence over all the other votes that were taken. None of the other votes were a positive vote for a determination.
Supplementary. Thank you. Members changed their votes immediately after private discussions with officers. Do you personally have any concerns that private lobbying reversed democratic decisions taken in public?
I don't believe that was the case. I have full confidence in the advice given to members by the monitoring officer, that was entirely in line with the Constitution. The fact that members changed their votes, I don't think is an indicator of anything untoward having happened at any stage. Having watched that meeting back a couple of times very carefully, it's clear that some members were very much on a knife edge as far as what way they wanted to go, as far as their decision was concerned. And I think we're weighing it up as the meeting went on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would you like to return to your seat, please? Let's call Jason Butler, please. Thank you.
Right, this is directed to the chairman of the planning committee. Who is that? The published minutes for the planning committee on the 8th of October show the meeting concluded at 12:14 p.m, but there's no record of an adjournment, suspension of proceedings or private discussion relating to application 2023/0159. The video recording published by the council clearly shows that an adjournment and private discussions did occur. Given that the Constitution and the Council's published standards require minutes to record adjournments and suspensions, can the Chairman please explain why no reference to this adjournment appears in the official minutes?
Thank you for your question. There is no constitutional requirement for adjournments or breaks at planning committee meetings to be recorded in the official minutes. The purpose of the minutes is to provide an accurate record of the decisions taken by the committee, rather than to serve as a verbatim transcript of all proceedings or incidental pauses. The established practice across the Council is that minutes focus on the substantive business conducted, the resolutions passed, and the outcomes reached. Breaks, adjournments, or informal discussions that do not form part of the formal decision-making processes are therefore not routinely included. In this case, the Planning Committee has reviewed and confirmed that the minutes of the meeting held on the 8th of October 2025 represent a correct and proper record in line with this established practice. The minutes fulfil their constitutional purpose by documenting the decisions made, and they have been formally approved by the committee as an accurate reflection of its proceedings. Do you have a supplementary?
I do have a supplementary, yes. I understand that Rule 1.70 says that minutes must be in an exact form. And Rule 1.57, I understand, motions to adjourn must be moved and seconded. So was that done?
I wasn't at that committee meeting, so I don't really know, to be honest. I'm going to give you a written response to that, so I'm going to find out for you, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, my second question is to the Leader of the Council. Who is that, please? The published minutes record the meeting time as 9:30 a.m. to 12:14 p.m, which is 2 hours and 44 minutes in total. Now, the video recording shows an adjournment on the application I previously mentioned, which I will repeat. The reference is 2023/0159. This is not mentioned in the minutes. So, could the Leader confirm, please, how long the adjournment lasted, and whether the recorded meeting duration includes or excludes this adjournment time? And this is a factual question.
I'll do my best to give you a factual answer. The Council's YouTube channel contains 2 recordings of the meeting, Part 1 and Part 2, which resumed following the break. The start and finish time recorded in the approved published minutes includes any breaks. Breaks are not required to be recorded in the minutes or timed separately. Therefore, we do not have the exact timings, but the totality of the break was around 30 minutes.
So, my supplementary then is how long does it actually take you for the monitoring officer to challenge the committee members, tell them their roles and responsibilities, and then cause 2 members to reverse their votes?
All I will say to you is that she does not challenge the members. What she does explains rules of procedure. That is all the monitoring officer does, and that is all she did on this occasion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Return to your seat. Peter Freeman, please.
Can you hear me now? Thank you. My question's to the Leader of the Council. What is the Council's policy when official minutes are found to be incomplete, inaccurate, or non-compliant with constitutional requirements? And will the Council commit to correcting and republishing the minutes of the Planning Committee meeting held on the 8th of October 2025?
Could you switch yours off, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Under Rule 18.1 of the Constitution, the chair of the meeting is required at the next ordinary meeting of the committee to sign the minutes and move that they be approved as a correct record. The Planning Committee has confirmed that the minutes of the meeting held on the 8th of October 2025 are accurate and have been approved in accordance with this process.
A supplementary question. So the members can only approve the minutes if they believe them to be accurate. Were the members told before that vote that 3 votes and adjournment had been omitted from the draft minutes?
They weren't required to be in the minutes.
Not required. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. To return to your seat. I understand we have a question from Edward Denton, who's not here. Is that correct? Okay. I will read out Mr. Denton's question. Doesn't say who it's for. I think it's for the leader. Okay. Article 6 of the European Convention on Human Rights requires planning decisions to be made by an independent and impartial tribunal. How does the Council ensure that adjournments for private discussions with officers do not compromise the independence and impartiality of the Planning Committee as a decision-making body? Leader?
The Council recognises its obligations under Article 6 of the European Convention on Human Rights. Planning committees operate in a quasi-judicial capacity, and maintaining both independence and impartiality is essential. Adjournments or breaks are permitted under the Constitution to allow members to seek procedural or legal advice where necessary. Any advice provided during such breaks is strictly limited to clarifying points of law or procedure and does not direct members on how to vote. The monitoring officer's role, and that of planning officers, is to ensure decisions are lawful and defensible, not to influence the outcome. When the chair reconvenes the meeting, the committee remains free to deliberate and determine the application, and is thus entirely compliant with Article 6.
Thank you. That resolves the questions from the members of the public. I would like to thank them for coming and asking their questions. You may vacate the chamber now, or you may wish to stay. You're going to go. Okay, thank you. Okay, well, we'll move on to item 8. It's recommendations from the Cabinet meeting held on the 25th of November. Oh, I'm sorry. No public speaking on number 7. Right, go to number 8. 8A, Council Tax Reduction Scheme, and I would like to invite Councillor Riley to propose the recommendation, please.
Thank you, Chair. Excuse me. The Council Tax Reduction Scheme helps low-income households borrow use their council tax bills, excuse me, to make them more affordable. Each year, we review the scheme for working age customers. Pensioners are directly regulated by the government to decide whether any changes are needed. Following a comprehensive review and updates last year, the current scheme has only been in place since April 2025. Early indications show it's working well, but we need a full year's data before considering further changes. There have also been no new policy announcements that require adjustments for 26-27. So the recommendation is to maintain the existing scheme for another year. This approach provides stability for residents during our ongoing financial pressures and ensures we base any future changes on solid evidence. So just turning to the recommendation specifically on page 68, the Cabinet recommends to Council that there are no changes to the Council Tax Reduction Scheme approved for 25-26, and this scheme is used as a Council Tax Reduction Scheme for 26-27, and I so move, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Riley. Do you have a seconder, please? Councillor Thomas, thank you. Would you like to speak now or reserve the right?
Thank you, Chair. Just to endorse what Councillor Riley said, I think it's a really, really good scheme, and I happily second this. Thank you.
Do we have any questions from members on the scheme? Nothing? Okay. Councillor Riley, do you want to sum up?
Just say thank the members particularly over last year when we was updating the scheme, and we did actually amend it in quite a substantial way, and do appreciate all the members' input last year and also for the continued support of this scheme, as Councillor Thomas has just indicated. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, we'll go to recommendation on page 63 of your report, that there are no changes to the council tax reduction scheme approved for 25-26, and this scheme is used as a council tax reduction scheme for 26-27. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you, that's unanimous. Thank you. Move on to 8B, the Broadland Biodiversity Strategy. Your report is on page 69, and I invite Councillor Davis to propose the report.
Thank you, Chair. So in 2023, the Council declared a climate and biodiversity emergency, highlighting the urgency of addressing climate change and biodiversity loss. As a consequence of this declaration, updates were made to the Climate Change, Environment and Biodiversity Delivery Plan 25-28. This reaffirmed the Council's commitment to protecting the environment and enhancing biodiversity. The Council actually has statutory biodiversity duties under the Environment Act 2021, and the Act provides the legal framework for local authorities to protect and restore nature in their area. Just to be clear, the duties state that the local authorities are required to assess how they can conserve and enhance biodiversity, establish policies and objectives, and take the action required. Developments must deliver a minimum of 10% increase in biodiversity post-development, and that local authorities must produce and publish regular reporting and monitoring on biodiversity progress in the district. So to meet these duties, we have this biodiversity strategy as a means to clearly set out how the Council will fulfil its obligations. The strategy also highlights actions that go above and beyond these requirements, reflecting the Council's commitment to addressing the biodiversity emergency. So the biodiversity strategy is focused on three key priorities: enhancing biodiversity on the land that we manage, supporting biodiversity beyond our own land, and then inspiring and influencing wider action. And that's working with partner organisations that we do work with. The rather attractive and engaging appendix in the Council papers provides more information on what guides our biodiversity strategy and the key national and local strategies that shape the Council's approach to biodiversity. Clearly it links in with various other policies and strategies. And so it links in and clearly shows, for example, how it links in with the Norfolk Local Nature Recovery Strategy, which was recently adopted. And it has some case studies of actions already taken. So I'd like to thank the officers who worked very enthusiastically on this strategy, and recommend to Council the adoption of the Biodiversity Strategy 2025-2030.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Do you have a seconder, please? Thank you.
Councillor Roy.
Councillor Roy, do you want to speak now or reserve the right?
Yeah, I'll speak now. I'm very happy to second this, and I'd just like to echo what Jan has said, to thank the officers for their time on developing this strategy. It's come through Environmental Excellence panel, and I'm pleased to see that the comments members have raised there have been taken on board. And as one of the most nature depleted countries in the world, these strategies are important to support manageable goals and improvements, and to support a sustainable and healthy future for us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roy. Do any of the members of the committee have any questions? Jonathan.
There is a saying that actions speak louder than words, and I think this does come into this report. This administration seems to do a lot of talking and take a lot less action than the previous Conservative administration. We did not make any declarations, but we did a lot more. We moved to the Horizon building, we agreed a new waste contract, we established the country park, we hit high recycling rates, we introduced food waste to the whole district, we increased green waste collection, all environmentally good actions that were actually positive actions. The biodiversity strategy is a good report, but will it save one tree? There are no targets, just more talk about what would be nice. I asked the portfolio holder to say what he's actually done in the 2 years that he's been in charge, apart from continue the Conservatives' plans. Although I do believe recycling rates have dropped. This is a good report, but there's no targets or KPIs in there that can be judged on. It is aspirational. We don't need more aspiration. We know that what we need to do, as we know, biodiversity is a problem, but it seems that we are losing more biodiversity with the central government building plan, that where they just want us to build, and the developers are having all the say, and we're not actually saving anything. So I'd just like to know what the portfolio has actually done in the 2 years.
Sorry.
Just as the member for Helston, we've just had a planning application, which luckily was rejected, but is very likely to be signed off by the Secretary of State. And partly it was rejected because of the loss of biodiversity, which is in the rules. Now, I think Jonathan alluded to this. We as a council, what is the point of producing a report like this if central government and planning policy is just going to override everything we say as local people? Thank you.
Has anybody else got any questions before I ask Councillor Davis to respond? Eleanor?
Yes, it's not really a question, but it's just a comment, really. I mean, I think it's very good to see Broadland acknowledge the urgency of addressing the serious problem of biodiversity decline. The possibility of promoting BNG credit-based schemes in the same way that we've done with nutrient neutrality would be very positive. It's really good to see the importance of wider community education and training being addressed. One thing I would like to see is future monitoring and reporting of the data to give very detailed information. I'd like that information to be both positive and negative, to include any challenges met in meeting the objectives and instances where biodiversity has declined despite efforts to help it to flourish. But on the whole, I'm very happy to support the adoption of this strategy. It's very good.
Thank you. Sheila?
Thank you, Chairman. I sit on the Environmental Excellence Panel, and this paper policy document came to us for perusal and for comment. And one of the comments I made on that particular evening was about targets and key performance indicators. Because how do you measure something? It's difficult if you haven't got these targets and these KPIs. And I do think that the report, although good, and it's been through our committee, was certainly agreed in principle that it has a lot of benefit to Broadland, still does not have the availability to measure the progress we've made. And I think this is a point that was made, and it is an opportunity that is now missed. Thank you.
Anybody else before I ask Councillor David? All right, Peter?
Thank you, Chair. Very laudable report, but I think what we really need to cut to the chase is an aspect that we seem to be ignoring a lot at the moment, which I find are getting an awful lot of applications, which the council is well aware of, for solar panel farms. This is something that we really need to stand against, in my opinion. I know it's not really our place to tell landowners what they should do with their land, but I would like to see leadership, certainly from certain elements of the coalition who lead this council, to get their act together and really, if they are green, say green policies and try and save our best value farmland.
Just following on from Councillor Berry, I don't know if he was at Overview and Scrutiny last Tuesday. I certainly was, in which there was a paper about solar, which was brought to that committee by our Assistant Director of Planning, Ben Burgess. It was a very good report. It contained a number of ideas which councils could adopt as far as solar is concerned, one of which was a potential call for sites, and I gave a clear indication at that meeting as the portfolio holder that that was not something that I particularly wanted to do. Now, I don't really see what extra leadership you're looking for there, Councillor Berry, but there was an opportunity for discussion of that at that meeting. So I think we have covered that off. As far as the rest of the report goes, I certainly hear a lot of positive comments in the room. Councillor Emsall said it was a good report. Councillor Berry said it was a laudable report. I don't think there's anybody who's actually had a bad thing to say about what is in this report. They're just interested in how things will be measured in the future. So I'm looking forward to a unanimous vote tonight.
Thank you. Joe, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, I agree, it's a really good report, but I do agree with Councillor Laming. We need some reporting on this, so I'm just wondering whether we could add that the officers report to us on an annual basis, just to update us on the success of this strategy. Thank you.
Stuart. Okay. Steve, you next.
Yeah, I mean, there's been comments in the room which, by some members sound quite negative actually about, look what we've done and we were the Romans, you're not the Romans, we built the road, you didn't. Well, the reality is around this is that time moves on. And we know that in the last 2 years in particular, the whole emphasis on biodiversity and from government as well, and you can see references in the report to that we need to move on. So you will see under 3.6, 3 priorities of biodiversity. Priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. You can see actually substantive measures in place to actually do the assessments on areas that we own and we control, to absolutely establish what is going on there, and then to be able to move forward from that analysis. So we're moving forward and taking things forward in terms of leadership around this issue, which is what we should do, and I believe the officers have also supported in us to do as well. So I highly commend the report. I say it's a very positive report, moving forward and not looking backwards. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Sorry? Okay. Does anybody else wish to? Okay, Sue, go on.
Thank you, Chair. About 3 years ago now, Aylsham Town Council declared a climate emergency, and out of that came a subgroup of the Town Council called Aylsham Climate Emergency. As a group, we have, as I'm a founder member as well, one of our focus groups is biodiversity enhancement, and I was really, really pleased to see under priority 2 that this means that Broadland can prioritise offering and promoting grant schemes that will support community-led biodiversity projects. That's exactly what needs to happen, that the local communities, when they come together and they have the ideas for their local area, that they have somewhere to go to resource their projects. So I was really pleased to see that and wholeheartedly support this strategy. Thank you.
Okay, I think we've had a lot of questions. I'm going to ask Councillor Davis to sum up, please.
Thanks, Chair. And thank you very much for all the comments. It's interesting that we did have quite a robust discussion, I think, on the panel going through. And as Councillor Gurney said, raised the issue of monitoring, as others have commented, which is why we have a delivery plan, which is looking at how we then deliver this strategy. This is a strategy, an overall strategy. What accompanies this is a delivery plan, and that we monitor how effective that is over time. So absolutely taking on board the points that are being made there. So we are conscious that we do need to monitor exactly how our biodiversity is performing, because we have lost so much biodiversity that we have to ensure that what we do, what we implement, is actually going to ensure not only the existence of our biodiversity going forward, but to promote and improve that biodiversity. So that's why we have a delivery plan to do that. And under those 3 priorities, accept that we're building on what the previous administration did, but there is more that we can do, and that's what we're trying to do here. So in terms of priority one, enhancing biodiversity on land we manage, why is it that we haven't, improved the biodiversity of our land that we manage? Why didn't the previous administration do this? So we're looking at 10 sites where we can assess the existing biodiversity and then come up with not only a plan to improve the biodiversity on those initial 10 sites that we're looking at, but to produce templates we can then use under priority 2 and priority 3 that others can use to upgrade biodiversity on similar plots of land. So it's going forward and building. We only have a certain amount of funding to be able to go forward ourselves, but we can work together with our partners, which is priority 3, and share that experience that we have through working on our own land and through funding, which is priority 2, supporting biodiversity beyond our land, through the funding that we've now put forward. So our Future for Nature Fund, which has received a number of bids now, well beyond the allocation of funding that we've made this year. And so it shows that we have communities we can work with who are really keen to be able to reclaim ponds, recreate ponds, plant more trees, and that's going forward now. So that funding is now closed, and we're assessing the applications that we've had, and we'll be going forward working with those parish councils and those community organisations. So yes, there is a lot we will be doing and building on what has been done so far. In terms of working on, there are planning issues here, and we need to ensure, and I'm as concerned as others have expressed, that we have effective implementation of biodiversity net gain through the planning system. And that's, again, supporting biodiversity beyond our own land. So within the constraints that we're working under, that is central government policy and so on, we are ensuring that we can implement biodiversity net gain and other actions effectively, because that's what we need to do, monitor that's effective. I think solar farms was mentioned by Councillor Berrett there. I think we have to be very clear that there are, we're not paving over agricultural land like the house building, for example, of large estates and developments. Once you concrete, that's it. With solar farms, you are, if anything, preserving that land for future generations. But we have to be absolutely clear, we are in a climate emergency. If we don't implement renewables, if we don't reduce our emissions through renewables, then I'm afraid that land isn't going to be fit for farming in the future. So come on, we've got to look at the emergency we're in and ensure that we're reducing our emissions as quickly as possible, because it might be too late, but still preserving that land that we can still use, perhaps in combination with agrivoltaics and so on in the future. Grazing land will still be there, but it's still usable for the future. So there are very good arguments for combining both biodiversity with renewables. So I think going forward, we have a strategy and a delivery plan that is ambitious and I think right for this moment.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. I'm going to refer members to the recommendations on page 75 of your report for to agree the adoption of the biodiversity. I can't say that word. Sorry. Oh, did you want to say something? We've finished the members' questions, Joe. Oh, sorry. Okay.
So regular reporting is required under the Environment Act 2021, but we will go beyond the required reporting to ensure that we will be able to respond to the actions that we're taking. So yes, there will be going forward. So we'll look at the periodicity of that. So yeah. But there are requirements under the Environment Act 2021, which are statutory requirements which we will adhere to.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go to the recommendation to agree the adoption of the biodiversity strategy for 2025 to 2030. All those in favour, please. Raise your hand. unanimous? Thank you. Okay, going on to item 9, Licensing Act 2003, Statement of Licensing Policy. Again, I invite Councillor Davies to go through the recommendations, please.
Thank you, Chair. So the Licensing Act 2003 Statement of Licensing Policy, as the report states, the Licensing Act requires each authority to carry out its various licensing functions to promote the following licensing objectives. So number 1, the prevention of crime and disorder. 2, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance and the protection of children from harm. So we're required as an authority to prepare and publish a statement of licensing policy at least every 5 years. The statement has been positively amended in line with the updated guidance issued under the Licensing Act, taking on board current initiatives such as the development of the Women's Safety Charter. It's worth noting that the inclusion of references to the development of a Women and Girls Safety Charter and promoting the Ask for Angela scheme was strongly supported in the consultation. It's recognised how important this is to ensuring safer socialising in hospitality spaces and in the nighttime economy. And to this end, a hyperlink to the Women's Safety Charter has been included in the policy as it arose from the consultation. So the consultation responses were also supportive of the amendments made to the policy. It's been amended following recommendations received and following consideration, of the revised document by the Licensing Committee. The current statement of licensing policy expires on the 31st of January 2026, so we need to renew before that time. So I recommend the Council adopts the finalised Statement of Licensing Policy 2026 to 2031.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder, please? Thank you. Councillor Harvey, do you wish to speak now or reserve the right?
Just to say I fully support this. I think it was very good to see the Women and Girls Charter in there and the Ask Angela scheme. So thank you for all the work on it.
Thank you. Sheila.
Thank you, Chairman. I was one of the councillors who had a look at this policy, and we had an extensive discussion about the Women and Women's Charter and this situation question over Ask for Angela. And what concerned me, and I think we need to be very firm with this, is that all the public houses that we licence in Broadland, when we do that, need to be told that they need to make their staff on duty behind the bars very much aware of what Angela means, because that has been tested in 1 or 2 pubs around the district by myself and some of my colleagues, and quite a lot of staff do not know what it means. And I'm not sure if every councillor here knows, but if a woman, a female, feels that they are vulnerable and they have maybe inappropriate advances made towards them, or they're out, or even a gentleman as well. In fact, so we were a little bit concerned about asking for Angela when we should have perhaps been asking for Andrew as well, because it seemed a bit tapered towards a female rather than male, and I know that gentlemen do get into some difficulties as well on these occasions that this ruling is applicable to. But I think we should be making sure that when any premises is licensed or relicensed, that we do make sure, our officers do make sure that the staff are, or the owners, applicants for the licence are advised that it is good to let the staff have a briefing and be fully trained on what this means, because this is where someone maybe gets into difficulties and they go and ask for Angela, and that is a sort of a sign to the staff there that they can then get them to a safe place and maybe get them home, or call a taxi or call a relative or something to come. And this was something that we did talk about at our committee meeting, so thank you for that.
Thank you, Sheila. Anybody else? No? Okay. Councillor, do you wish to sum up?
Yeah, thank you very much, especially Councillor Gurney, for that. I think various surveys have shown that across the country, not everyone understands that, ask for Angela. I think you could be anyone and ask for Angela, so long as it's understood. So take on board what you're saying there, and I think that will be part of our promotion. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to the vote. The recommendation is that Council adopts the finalised policy statement of licensing policy 2026 to 2031. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That looks unanimous. Thank you. Right, we go on to item 10, report from the monitoring officer, which is on page 4 of your supplementary papers. I hope you've all read those. And I will invite the leader to present the report and its recommendations.
Thank you, everybody. So, as you know, that we will be losing Emma from our monitoring officer and chief of staff role. This will be a big hole for us to fill. We will be asking in this meeting for agreement to appoint a monitoring officer, and that will be Sinead Carey, to appoint her from the 5th of January. You've got big steps to fill, but I'm sure that will be fine. I do hope you will all agree that this will be a very good move. What we will also be doing is reviewing the rest of the roles. So Sinead will be the monitoring officer and governance, and we will be looking at the rest of Emma's role and making sure that we get the best we can possibly do for that as well. So that's really all I've got to say to you. The only slight difference is recommendation 2. What I'm actually asking you to approve the proposed increase in establishment of 1 FTE for the governance team within the chief of staff area, with a cost for 25-26 funded from savings, and any increase for 26-27 to be built into the baseline budget, with a review of the AD role. So that's, Sinead will be taking on the monitoring officer role. We will be reviewing the rest. And that's it, really. Everybody's got any questions? Feel free.
You've got a seconder first, please.
Yeah, I'll second.
Paul, thank you very much. Do you want to speak now or later?
I reserve the right, thank you.
Questions? Grant, please.
Thank you, Chairman. At the last Audit Committee meeting on the 18th of November, I wanted to express our thanks, that's the committee's thanks, to Emma for her work. She was for quite a while head of internal audit, and to wish her well, and hopefully that it will be reflected in the minutes that you will see. With regards to the role of monitoring officer, I understand that it is helpful for the monitoring officer to have a legal background. And so a question is, does the officer that is taking over the role have any other informal or formal background, legal background, sorry. Thanks.
Well, while I understand that many monitoring officers do have a legal background and have, or for a long time actually, solicitors, I think you'll find that even our previous monitoring officer was not of a legal background. So it is not necessary for the monitoring officer to be of that status.
Any further questions? No? Paul, would you like to?
I've got no comment, thank you.
Okay.
Well, I think it's fairly self-evident, so I think I'll leave it there.
Okay. Okay. Right, we go to the recommendations. They're pretty long, so I'm not going to read them all out. You've got them in your report. Just with the addition on recommendation 2 at the end, with a review of the AD role. All those in favour of those recommendations, please. Thank you. That looks unanimous. Thank you very much. Of course, I would like to congratulate Sinead on her appointment. Well done. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Right, item 11. Broadland District Council's response to proposals for local government reorganisation in Norfolk and Suffolk. Again, I would like to invite the leader to present the report and its recommendations.
Thank you. Yes, I don't have too much to say about this. Basically, the government has put out its consultation for the local government reorganisation. As you all know, there have been 3 submissions. Our response to this is in line with the agreement that we had when we submitted our proposal for 3. I think it's all fairly self-explanatory. Clearly, some people are not going to agree with the 3. However, every person has the right to put in their own submission to the government consultation, and I would urge you to do that. Our response, however, is in line with what we have investigated and put forward as part of this council from the submission that we put in back in September. So I think I'll just leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a seconder? Councillor Roper, thank you. Do you wish to speak now?
Reserve the right, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Invite questions from members, please. Jonathan.
I don't think my position on this has changed from the last couple of meetings. If I was a councillor from King's Lynn or Broadland or Great Yarmouth, I would vote for the 3 unitary proposal because it keeps those councils away from the Norwich financial black hole and their mismanagement. If I was a city councillor, the plan to increase the tax base into the Broadland area and the South Norfolk area, I'd also vote for a 3 unitary because I could see that would make great sense to them. But I'm not. I'm a Broadland councillor. I represent Thorpe St Andrew, where the residents are not happy about being part of a Greater Norwich, where they'll just see mismanagement. So I can't support this, unfortunately. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else wish to speak? Councillor Murray.
Basically, just like to concur with Councillor Emsall and that our position really hasn't changed, and our local residents do not support the 3 unitary.
Councillor Clancy.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I would like to concur with Councillor Emsall as well, because I see absolutely zero advantage for any Broadland ward being part of Norwich. I can't see any advantage in terms of service delivery, in terms of finance, in terms of any conceivable reason whatsoever. And I find it very, very strange that this council would be advocating that proposal. I also think it's extremely strange that this council is advocating this proposal. I know this has all been rehearsed before, but however good, however bad the county is, splitting up children's services, splitting up adult social services, splitting up highways into 3 in Norfolk is a recipe for chaos. Okay, it's not always great now, let's be really honest, but it could only be worse by splitting it up, because all the reorganisation, it's going to take year upon year upon year. By the acknowledgement of this report, it's already recognised that it would cost more money. It's going to cost more money, it's going to lead to greater degrees of uncertainty, greater administrative burden, and greater detrimental impact to residents of Broadland. I really can't see any advantage whatsoever, Chair.
Is anybody else? Councillor Leggett.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just to say that I've thought about this, the 3 unitaries and 2 or 1. The difficulty for me is that I'm not sure what the structure will be, whether it's 3, 2 or 1. But when I look through and weigh it up, I feel that 3 would not be correct, and I feel the advantage of the 1 would be particularly for children's services, because we don't want the ability to switch around from 1 unity to 2 unity or 3 unity. But on balance, I certainly would support the 1 and not the 3, Chairman.
We have Councillor Tipple next, please. Adrian.
Yeah, I keep hearing this thing about council tax, especially by lots of our Conservative members here. So I'd like to correct some factual you're getting slightly wrong for all the residents in Broadland. Regardless of the unitary option chosen, whether it's 1, 2 or 3, council tax equalisation has to happen. The way that procedure happens is you equalise it to the highest tax rate across the county. Everybody in Norfolk will be saying the same rates as the current highest band, which is, as we know, is in Norwich City. So everybody will be saying the same rates, regardless of the 1, 2 or 3. So the claim to the people of Broadland that 3 will cost you more than 1 for council tax is factually correct and made up. Thank you.
Councillor Nurden next.
Thank you, Chairman. I also don't quite agree with this 3 unitaries and concur with a lot of what Councillor Emsall has said. But the issue I have is particularly about the representation of our residents in those 3 areas. There was going to be a review of the boundaries of the ward boundaries for the Broadland District Council area, but that was postponed. But my area, where I am one councillor representing about 1,700, the Boundary Commission highlighted the Marshes Ward as an area that is in need of extra help. And when I look at the ratio of councillor representative to a number of residents, in the Greater Norwich area, it's 1 to 3,000 plus, whereas in the Marshes area, it's 1 to 4,500. I think it is something like that. So the representation for my residents, I can't agree with the fact that it is so disproportional, and one person taking on that role to represent a greater number than the representatives for the Greater Norwich unitary, and also for the West, because their numbers are pretty similar. So I can't support a 3 unitary authorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Beadle next, please.
Thank you, Chair. Everybody knows my views on, at least in this chamber, on this process and the suggested outcomes. In the Minister's letter, it says, it is open to you, meaning in this case the Norfolk authorities, to explore options with neighbouring councils in addition to those included in this invitation, particularly where this helps those councils to address concerns about their sustainability or limitations arising from their size or boundaries, or where you are working together across a wider geography within a strategic authority. Can I say none of the proposals put forward by the county or any of the districts within Norfolk or Suffolk has done that? And that is an area of investigation which the Minister has quite clearly suggested should be investigated and hasn't been done. And once that was not enacted on in the initial stages, then we were driven down this road. And now we are in a position where we're being consulted on whether we should be hung or whether we should have death by injection. And that is the way we are. So, but I will be voting for this with a very heavy heart because it is really the only thing before us today.
Okay, I've got Councillor Gurney next, please.
Thank you. Whilst I appreciate Councillor Tipple's comments about council tax equalisation to the highest point, one of the questions my residents pose to me, and I've asked time and time again here and also at county, is how do you deal with the fact that my parish council also draws down a precept from council taxpayers, whereas those members in the city do not, and how will that equalise if the parish precept is then placed on top? That means that surely the places such as Helsden, Thorpe St Andrews, Old Catton, that could potentially be drawn into the Greater Norwich catchment will have a higher council tax in the end because of the parish precept. Thank you.
I've got Councillor Richard Potter next, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to echo what Councillor Leggett said about children's services. So for those of you who don't know, we adopted our little boy 4 years ago from Norfolk County Council. And actually last weekend we were at an adoption Christmas party. Now I spoke to a handful of social workers from the council who were clearly apolitical, and every one of them told me they were extremely concerned about the 3 council option and the effect that it's going to have on adoption and children's services. And given that we're already facing a shortage of adopters in this county, I can absolutely not support the 3 model. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Riley next, please.
Thank you, Chair. Well, the one thing I'd agree with Councillor Beadle on is I'll be voting with this with a heavy heart. And the reason for that is I think, you know, my view, and I know other people have expressed a very similar view, I expressed the same thing at the County Council actually when we debated this, is that the system we've got actually works. And if you look at the economics around it, it works. The whole driver for this is actually about trying to save money and not support and strengthen services. Because when you look at the district, I'm standing here as a district councillor speaking, I know, especially as portfolio of finance, many of our services, around 50% at the moment, something like that, have all got some kind of discretionary edge to them that we supply and fund and support. And the problem is that when you look at our budgets, look at whether it's a 3, a 2 or a 1 under a unitary, and the debt that's already there within the county situation, and also the underfunding of adult and child services, that there isn't going to be any money left for discretionary. It's going to be pinched, and my fear is that many services that we currently supply and communities that we support, our community grant fund will be one of them, I expect, be chopped straight away, will actually go down the tubes. So therefore, I think this is an appalling move that's been made, and a rushed one at that. Administration arrangements around this are pretty appalling, even the latest edict from government. Now, having said all of that, we are where we are from a district council point of view, in terms of try to have the smallest decision-making body that you can. It might have some kind of chance, at least, of being directly tied into local communities in a smaller way in terms of democracy, and there's a 3 unitary, next that a 2 unitary. And really that is my only kind of tipping balance on it. I'd sooner not be voting for any change here at all, because I know what's being proposed is actually going to be worse than what we've currently got, whatever way you look at it. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. We've got Councillor Vincent next.
Thank
please.
you, Stuart.
Thank you, Chair. I echo the comments recently made there by Councillor Potter and Councillor Leggett. As a former Deputy Cabinet Member of Children's Services at the County Council, I know full well the importance of a county-wide service for our children and young people. This 3 unitary model will generate real and true risks for the children and young people of this county, and I honestly cannot support this for that reason.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? No? Dan, would you like to sum up? Would you like to answer as a seconder, please?
Thank you. Very happy to second this proposal, which is entirely consistent with the business case already put forward by this council and the earlier resolutions which council has passed. It is right that the consultation response that this council makes fits in with those responses. I entirely respect that there are different views within the room, and I entirely respect the consistency with which some members have expressed them. I have a different view, and the majority vote at council when we discussed this on 2 previous occasions was with that majority view that I hold myself. I'm in the fortunate position, us as a council, we haven't really examined, for example, the single county unitary option. I have had that benefit because I chair previously scrutiny and now the corporate strategic and corporate select committee at the county council, and I can tell you that there are a lot more cracks in the single unitary than perhaps you do realise. The business case the county council has put forward itself is questioning about whether actually the council will be too big for its current executive arrangements. It's talking about the neighbourhood area committees which are required, and whether or not it will be able to actually resource those sufficiently to be able to deliver the absolute minimum baseline that is required centrally that they have to do. There is already issues around the needing not to break up, but put in artificial boundaries within those big areas of children's and adults around locality working, which need to be worked through further once the council takes on the extra responsibilities. It is a model which is predicated on pushing a lot more stuff down onto parishes and town councils, some of which are not equipped to take the extra responsibilities which I think some counties think that they should be taking on. There are a lot of cracks there, and we've never really had the opportunity to examine that model properly within this council. We have, however, had a chance to examine the 3 unitary model which we put forward. I entirely accept that there are reservations, as I say, in the room, but I think it does represent the best representation for the people of Broadland, and I think we should be submitting this response to the consultation as set out.
Thank you. Aidan, would you like to sum up, please?
Thank you. Yes. It's a huge question, isn't it? I mean, really, it's been rushed, it's busy, you know, everybody's trying to work out what's the best thing. We are not doing this because we want to do it. We're not putting forward something just because we've chosen to do it. I have to say I completely agree with Councillor Riley. What we've got works. It's a real shame we've got to do anything about it. For me, councils are about delivering services for communities, being close to their communities, being representative for their communities, being democratic. That's what being in a council is about. For me, though, I think the real problem is if the government went and said, we'll have one council, you've got fewer councillors, you're further away from your own people, it's a disaster as far as I'm concerned. I would rather see what we have already, if I'm honest. I think it works, like Councillor Riley says, but that's not what we're being asked to do. We're being asked to provide something. So for me, having that democratic representation, sticking in as close as you can get to your communities and at least keeping them relevant to your place is really important. So for me, this is just the best we can do out of what we've been asked to do. So that is why I am supporting it, and that is why I am prepared to fill in the consultation in this way. I would not have done it, but this is where we are. So I'm afraid I'm going to leave it there. Oops, sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Holland. Okay, ready? Thank you. Refer members to the recommendation that the Council, 1, approves the consultation response as set out in Agenda 1 of the report, and 2, delegate to the Managing Director in consultation with the Leader the authority to make any non-material amendments to the final submission and submit the consultation response to Government. All those in favour, please raise your hand.
Chairman.
All those against, please.
Is it 19?
Thank you, that passes. Item 12 on your agenda, we have 2 reports from outside organisations, and I'd like to thank Councillor Lamming for the report on the Norfolk and Waveney Integrated Care System Conference to note, and Councillors Royal and Lamming's report on the Norfolk Youth Advisory Board and MAP's presentation on Everyone Has the Right to Play, which is quite close to my heart. So thank you very much for that. There are no questions from members. There are no motions. So I declare this meeting closed at